Season 5, Episode 9, Take 1. What is good, everybody? My name is Jake, and welcome back to the One Take series, where we get one chance to reflect on the day. No second chances, no third chances. One take, and one take only. Pretty big deal, because it is now officially the last single-digit episode of this season. So, how did it go today? Well, let's start off with this, okay? Sleep ended up being around 5 hours, and we went from 1 to 6, but it was for a very, very good reason, okay? So to be honest, when it came down to research, I technically had drafted a cold email at that point in terms of like a structure. However, I didn't really take the time to look in too deep, like too crazily deep with some of the people that I was sending research emails to, right? So I was taking some time late in the night and then also early in the morning to go ahead and do that. My neck. Okay. But yeah, I was taking some time to do that, some extra time. And so basically, I think it definitely paid off, right? I ended up sending 5 emails out to 5 different professors and just kind of awaiting responses, right? And so to start off the day, right, it didn't, like, nothing really happened. The first one, I got kind of like a bit of a harsher rejection, because basically what I was saying was like, hi, this is my name, like, my name is Jake, and welcome to the One Take. Okay, anyways, but basically I said, hi, my name is Jake. This is what I read in one of your papers, and I liked how you approached this. And then basically, like, I've taken these classes, and I'd love to get more hands-on stuff, right? That's basically along the framework that I used in order to actually draft an email. So I sent that out to 5, like I said. 2 of them haven't responded. We'll start with that, okay? One of them, the first one, the low-key kind of a harsh rejection, but I mean totally understandable. Because my thing was like, where are you going to be available to meet up within the next couple of weeks, within the coming weeks, for just like a 15-minute conversation, right? And so pretty much the first person was like, well, actually, like, kind of like, the next 2 weeks I'm gonna be out of town and my lab is full and this kind of stuff. Sorry, but if you want, I can set up a tour with like one of like the graduates and stuff like that. Honestly, I might consider doing that, just low-key, depending on like what time and what day of the week it is. Just because, I mean, my schedule was kind of packed, you know, and we'll just kind of see, right? But I still would be interested just to like gain some more connections, right? When it really became juicy, though, was the second one, because when the second one came in, and I was not expecting this. Honestly, with my luck, I was genuinely expecting to go 0 for 5, for sure. But this one, what ended up happening is that they were like, okay, yeah, I might be available this Friday. Let me know what time works for you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, this could actually work. Because that was the first moment I was like, okay, well, now it's not going to be more about mass applying like I thought it was going to be. It's going to be more about quality over quantity, right? And I'm definitely going to touch more upon that later. But to finish the story, I was basically saying, yeah, I mean, like, this time works for me, but if you're not available for then this time works as well. And so he was like, and he said the first time as well. He's like, the first time is great. Can't wait, or I'm looking forward to like meeting up with you. I'm like, thank you, have a great day. And there you go. I mean, like when I was typing out the email of thank you, have a great day, I was like, I was ecstatic in that moment because I followed the one guy's advice, right? For anyone who missed the first episode or other episodes after that, what ended up happening is I got a piece of advice from this one guy that I just kind of like, I knew a little bit. It was more like a connection, but basically like, that's why I kind of have this connections. Thank you down here, right? It was kind of someone I didn't know too well, but I knew well enough to have conversations with him. And one of the things he was saying, if you remember about research, was that he would recommend applying the week after school starts because by doing so, then what ends up happening is that the professor, it doesn't get filed in with the flood of emails that come in regarding research. Not only that, but also the fact that when you send them early in the morning, when you send them like before 8, that's like the first thing they see. And I have to mention that even the denial letter, that response came in at 8:02 today, which so obviously the advice was key and it was crucial. And it came into play with this because obviously he ended up responding at around like kind of like 9:42 or whatever. And so then I was just panicking so hard that I didn't send the next one until 10. And so then he sent the next one within the next minute, and then I said the thank you within the minute after that. So it was just such a smooth experience. I was really looking forward to that. What I wasn't expecting as well was that when I got home, another professor said that they would be interested in meeting up with me today. Or not today, but later on in the future, right? And so basically it was a crazy thing of I just wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting one, let alone two offers, right? So that one's going to be taking place next week. But basically it's just like I was blown away. I was like, wow, like this is working a little better than I thought it would. And honestly, I don't mind it. But I am going to bring it back to something. Okay, this is why it's called foot in the doors and why I also have year with the ×2, right? That's why on here that's labeled that way. To fill in context though, just like because I already talked about it before, obviously, but I think it's important that I mention it again, okay? Because in one of my classes today, the one where I had the final two deals, remember that? If you don't remember, go watch the second episode. You know, like I highly recommend it for me personally. But basically, what ended up happening is that there was my one of my best friends from college and one of my best friends from high school that I would potentially have to pick from in terms of a final project because the final project requires two people to work together, right? What ended up happening is that my high school friend, I think he just kind of understood, like it was a silent kind of thing. He just kind of understood that I was tighter with the college friend, and therefore, and because I also just knew how to work with him better, like currently right now. So it was just a thing of he sat at a different table. So thankfully that issue resolved itself, which again, completely fine by me. You know, there wasn't any animosity in any of the interaction. It was mainly just a mutual understanding of like, okay, you know, like you're probably going to team up with this person. I'm going to remove myself and I'm going to probably find a different person, which is absolutely respectable and I very much commend him for that. But I want to just point out to you, because I already talked about it before, I believe I did, and I'm going to talk about it again. Do you start to see how things come in twos for me? Do you start to see it? Okay, I haven't talked about, because the main thing this happens with is women. I can't even lie. Main thing it happens with is when I'm deciding between women, right? But every time something good comes into my life regarding one type of topic, right? It's never just one at one time. It's always two. It's always two. It's always two people that I have to pick between to participate with me in the final project. It's always two, usually women, that I have to pick with in between who I want to date, right, most of the time. And in this case, I have to pick between two research opportunities that I want to be involved with, right? And obviously I'm going to get more information when I actually do the interviews, and we're going to go from there, right? From here on out, I just have no idea what's going to happen, but I know that I am going to be prepared. So for the next couple of days, in between when I'm doing work, in between one take, in between doing schoolwork, what my main goal, my main priority is to absolutely study up for that 15-minute convo with that one guy, right? With the professor that could potentially be my research professor. And not only that, because the thing about research, at least what I believe, is that it's not just good for the school year, it could potentially be until the end of your college career, which means if we get this locked in, we could have research locked in for the rest of my college experience, which, I mean, if I end up enjoying it, I end up enjoying it. That's really what it comes down to. So I'm very, very excited for that. But do you see how things come in twos for me? It's always twos. We'll see which one I pick, but I'm pretty fascinated in both. So just to cover the rest of the day really quick, first class, it was really good. I enjoyed the class a lot, but it was a thing of there wasn't really a but. I'm honestly not ashamed of it, especially because I was having a good day. It was just a thing of neck. I seriously gotta start working out my neck. I think neck day is next anyways, so I will probably try and do gym today. If I have time, I will absolutely try and do gym because the thing is like, sorry, I'm gonna get sidetracked here, but the reason why I had kind of like almost like a book bag, I honestly used to have like this one like laptop bag that I would put around my shoulder and stuff, and that ended up giving me a little bit of scoliosis. So what ended up happening is that I had to switch back to a backpack. But the thing is what's happening with the backpack is the exact thing I didn't want happening with the backpack and didn't like happening with the backpack, was that it's causing my more rounded shoulders to appear and it's causing my neck to get weaker in certain muscles, right? So I think I'm definitely going to try and work that today and into the schedule, and just also apply maybe like either ice or apply heat. But yeah, going about the rest of the day. So I was having a good day, and so I just kind of like, there was one part where the question from the teacher was like popping up, right? And so he wanted us to give like an answer, and no one was giving the answer, right? There were several questions before that, right? But this one was just no one was willing to even blurt out something. So I do the calculation in my calculator. I ended up getting the number right. It was like 7.27, right? 7.27. And then I said it was 10 to the negative 39th. When in actuality, the answer was 10 to the negative 37th. I just forgot a decimal conversion. It was centimeters to meters. So honestly, I'm not really too ashamed of that because at least I actually took a shot in the dark, which not a lot of people can say they did. And it wasn't really a shot in the dark, to be honest. But I think the professor looked at me, and he was looking at me in a smiley way, especially because after I got it wrong, I was humble about it. I wasn't like shocked. I wasn't like, huh? It was more of a thing of like, I got it wrong, and I was just like willing to listen, right? That's the thing. Sometimes you just got to be willing to take in information instead of blurting out all the information before anyone else has a chance to give you some. So honestly, I don't mind that too much. And honestly, I think it could have definitely played to my benefit. We'll just kind of see with that professor. I like that professor a lot, though, I will say. So then afterwards, I kind of told you about the class after that. It was just pretty standard. And so that brings me here where I am planning on, there's weird activity going on outside. Okay, whatever. I'll probably close my window after this. But basically, yeah, that brings me here. So I'm probably going to do an assignment for one of my classes first because it requires that it be light outside. So I'm going to do that. And then after that, I'm probably going to work. And then afterwards, gym. And then after that, dinner, right? That is the main plan for right now. And the one thing that I will say, we also have to fit another assignment. I have kind of like a type of lab tomorrow that I have to get an assignment done before then. So I'm definitely planning on trying to do as much as that as possible tonight as well. There was one more thing I was going to say. I forgot what it was. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I definitely want to fit like gym and Jesus a little more into the schedule, especially just because I've been doing well with like, research. Look at research. Research is going perfectly according to plan, right? And like internships as well, and like same thing with work and Big Brother and academics, and even music and sleep. I would honestly argue that those are going pretty well, right? But there are certain things that are just weaknesses. There are just a little bit of weaknesses that I need to cover up, right? And those main ones are gym and Jesus, right? So I think I definitely want to try and do neck day just because, like I said, my neck is feeling weak. I've had many experiences so far where I'd have to be hunched over in order to do certain actions. So one great piece of advice that I heard from, I believe it was a neurologist, I want to say at one point, was basically to do 30 minutes sitting and 30 minutes standing of working and then alternating that. What works about this perfectly, you're not able to see it because it's actually propped up on there. And this is a perfect example of it, is that my desk, right? or not my desk, right? My bookshelf, my dresser, which is the thing that my phone is currently on, this is the perfect standing thing for me to do, right? Because before I never really had a good standing environment to ever set anything up in, right? But right here, I go straight from sitting right here over to standing, working here. It's absolutely perfect. I mean, seriously, you couldn't have planned it any better. So I absolutely planning on doing that when it comes to both work and schoolwork today. So that, and then also, just as another thing, okay? This time, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, Jesus. I deeply apologize. That shouldn't have come to a shock as everybody, because I literally said nuh-uh and going to hopefully on the board. But yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize, okay? And I know apologies that keep being apologies without any actual action are not a healthy habit to develop, I will admit. But we have our work cut out for us. Essentially, what this means for us is that from here on out, we do 2 chapters a day. We do 2 chapters a day so that way we can make this up. And I know that that's possible. I absolutely know it is. So we are going to try, and we are going to make it up. That's simply put. Every single day, I'm hoping that this number decreases. But I obviously have to do a little more than hope. I have to take action so that that number decreases. Don't get it twisted. That's honestly pretty much it, low-key. So, yeah, I mean, what did we learn from today? We learned a couple of things, right? Sometimes you only need one to land, right? This is a big thing in life when it comes to research opportunities, when it comes to internships, when it comes to like even something like creating songs or just like any of those domains, right? There are a lot of things in this world where you need to put up consistently your efforts and stuff like that, but sometimes all it takes is one, right? You could apply for 5 research positions, for 10, for 100. If at least one lands, then it was all for a good reason. It was all for good reason, right? And sometimes, I mean, when you get 2, that's even better. But as long as one is able to stick and land, then that's great. 2, it's always good to have a safety net, right? The best thing about the current position I am in with both of my research things is the fact that if one doesn't go as planned, I have the other one to fall back on. Okay? That's what matters in this stage. It doesn't matter about going well on both of them, even though my plan is to go in well on both of them and then just choose which one I like better, which one I like the vibe of better, which one I like the lab of better, etc. Right? But the thing is that I'm in a current position where if one doesn't go as well as planned, then the other one can be a reliable source for me to fall back on, right? So there's that. And then number 3 is going to be the patch up weaknesses in your system, right? A lot of us, I feel like in life, we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses, right? I think in order to become a stronger person, you should focus less on strengthening or further strengthening your strengths, and you should focus on patching up your weaknesses. Because by patching up your weaknesses, they turn from something that's against you to something that's either for you or something that's just simply neutral with you. So honestly, I would say if you're trying to genuinely improve yourself day by day, focus on your weaknesses first, and then afterwards, go and build your strengths. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Cut.